This is Steve Zeltzer with Pacifica and WorkWeek. The growing threat to the democratic rights of the people and workers of the United States and the threat of a possible coup by the President of the United States has led to the Rochester Labor Council in New York to pass a resolution on October 8th calling for a general strike if President Trump tries to subvert or disregard the results of the coming national election. We spoke with the president of the Labor Council, Dan Maloney, who is also president of UAW 1097, which represents GM workers in Rochester. Welcome to WorkWeek, Dan.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, Dan, why don't you talk about the recent resolution you passed, introduce yourself, talk about who you are, where you're from, and what's going on in Rochester.
All right. Yeah, Dan Maloney, president of UAW Local 1097, also the Rochester Labor Council and the Rochester Area Labor Federation. So, we're seeing these moves by President Trump right now to kind of dismantle the Postal Service and kind of throw discord, kind of sowing seeds of doubt in the voters' minds about, in this day and age with the coronavirus still in the middle of a pandemic, most folks aren't comfortable of a certain age or if you have medical conditions going into a polling place live and casting your ballot. And, of course, most states are making options for people, and the biggest and best option is a mail-in ballot. So, of course, the president and, I'll say his henchmen are going after that institution the hardest. So, DeJoy and all the things they've been doing with the sorting machines and removing the blue box from the corner where people used to drop off mail and cutting heads and cutting overtime and all the things they're doing to disrupt the U.S. Postal Service. It's wrong, and of course there are union brothers and sisters, and so we're trying to defend them, and in the course of that, we're trying to defend American democracy itself by instilling confidence in your mail-in ballots, absentee ballots, during this important presidential election.
And he's also told people, the right-wingers in Michigan, to liberate the state. There have been kidnapping threats against politicians. Did you ever in your lifetime think you'd see a situation in the United States where the president was inciting people to basically attack elected officials?
No, and of course we have to stay on guard, right? This is a participatory sport democracy. So everybody, all oars in the water, pull in the same direction, we can move the ship of state. And right now, there's a pirate trying to take it over. So we are here to try, again, to defend, the vote, the will of the people. And, it was just kind of telling in the nationally televised debate that the president wouldn't say that he would, in fact, respect the will of the people and the outcome of this election. He should have been saying that clearly and loudly. So it's just kind of it's a tell as to what his plans are. And, of course, stacking the Supreme Court. We have time to count the votes, and it's that important that we should make sure every vote is counted before the outcome of this election. It's not going to be November the 3rd at 11 o'clock in the evening. You're going to know the outcome. And some of that's going to be, of course, with this mail-in ballot system going on. So we need to give democracy time, and we need to defend, again, the vote, the voice of the American electorate as to who they want for their president.
And your resolution, why don't you talk about your resolution and also what was the discussion in the Labor Council about the resolution?
So, bottom line here, some of the whereas, the president has failed on multiple occasions to denounce the activity of white supremacist and fascist militias and organizations that have a stated desire to overthrow American democracy. That's true, again, in that debate. He was given a clear choice, and he said, stand by, Proud Boys, stand at the ready kind of deal. Another whereas, we're polarized right now, and, it's kind of become more of a sport, us against them, winner take all between the Republicans and Democrat, polarized nation. And it seems like the Republicans have actually just given up to this potential dictator or, a tyrant in training here, Donald Trump. And their role, the Congress's role as part of the checks and balance system, or the judiciary, the Supreme Court, have been diminished to the point that somebody could take over as a fascist dictator in this country. Seems unheard of, right? But we're seeing these moves, these steps being taken. So, of course, as it says, we oppose authoritarianism and totalitarianism, and we are here to fight against it and ensure the institutions of democracy in our nation remain vigorous. And, one of the tools that we can use to ensure that is the power of a national general strike. And, that's something they do in New York City, for example, right? When unions when they're under threat, when they're being gutted, they can always just refuse to pick up the garbage, let it pile up. It starts getting nasty in the middle of July when you got piles of garbage out in front of your buildings in New York City, and typically that brings people to the bargaining table and to common sense solutions in negotiations. So this man, showing he's a tyrant, you have to take strong action to be able to beat him back at his own game. So if that means everything stops across this country, which we can in labor and other people of good conscience, other organizations, church groups, other workers that are not unionized yet, can take action. In this case, put down your tools, right? Do not drive the rig. Airplanes don't go up. Trains don't move. Garbage doesn't get picked up. Nothing gets built. Nothing gets sold. Nothing gets transported. We can do that. And usually you only do that as a nuclear option. And that's what it would be when our democracy is under threat as it is today. So we're just hoping with this resolution other people are looking at it, listening, being emboldened and encouraged to stand up and be strong and do the right thing.
UAW 1097, who do they represent in Rochester?
It's a General Motors facility here. We make fuel systems, finest fuel systems in the world for the highest quality vehicles in the world. So we do have a great workforce and a great, proud history of activism and political action. And so, this just kind of, I grew up in this union, not sitting by, speak up when you see something wrong, and take action to make it right. And that's what this resolution speaks to.
And Sarah Nelson, who's president of the Airline Flight Attendants, CWA, also has called for a general strike when they shut down the government. And I understand 4 hours after she made that call, Trump opened up the government again. You think that the possible movement towards a general strike by working people in this country will force Trump to back down?
It's absolutely, again, it's going to be our nuclear option, but it will definitely get his attention and bring him to the table, bring him to his senses, and I think it may even embolden the Congress, which right now has been sitting quiet and kind of just going along to get along with this president. So, again, this is hopefully helping people, be empowered and show them that we do have the tools to take back our nation and pull it in the right direction.
And the issue of these right-wing neo-fascists, fascists who Trump has been basically saying that he supports them in the Proud Boys and these right-wing racist organizations. Whoever comes in as president, apparently they're not going to go away. They're in for the long haul. What should labor do about it seems, ongoing threat of neo-Nazis, armed racist, threatening people? I mean, they were ordering people to go back to work in Michigan during their rally protest at the Michigan legislature. It seems like this is a growing serious threat to working people, and particularly blacks, the Latinos in this country.
So, right now our plant in Rochester, New York is a majority-minority facility. And, we have the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, is one of the strongest supporters. They came out of labor. We're lockstep with them. And, again, as I learned as a young UAW unionist, that labor rights are hand in hand with civil rights, human rights, women's rights, and around the globe, not just in the U.S. But because we are the oldest democracy and the most prosperous on the face of the planet, we showed people that it can work. We need to continue, the legacy that was handed to us. And it means, in this instant case, coming together and taking action.
And what do you think the response has been so far to your resolution, and how should trade unionists and workers in other parts of the country join you and support you?
Well, hopefully they draft similar resolutions, send them up. We're hoping that the state AFL-CIO agrees, and the various state AFL-CIOs can petition the national party, and they can come out with their own resolution and call on us to take action. And again, this is only if needed. If Biden wins and Trump refuses a peaceful transition of power, we have to have something in play, and the Congress refuses to do their job, right? We have to have some type of action already planned, and that's what we're asking for here.
This is Steve Zeltzer with WorkWeek and Pacifica, and we've been talking with Dan Maloney, who is president of the Rochester Labor Council and also president of UAW 1097, about the recent resolution passed by the Rochester Labor Council calling for a general strike.